I, during my existence, have been alive to witness. I wanted so bad when I saw this news break, I wanted so bad to find a reason to hate on the Lakers for once again trading for good players instead of going and drafting good players. Instead of wasting draft picks on the Bronny Jameses of the world, tra- uh, trading for new, well-rounded players already established in the league. But then I heard the full story, and it was actually the Mavericks that decided to make one call and one call only to the Lakers to offer, not to inquire about a certain player, but to offer Luka Doncic in exchange for chump of change and whatever busted player you got sitting as the eighth player on your roster, because that is ultimately what happened. I cannot understand where this story developed. As far as I've looked into this, I cannot figure out exactly what the rationale of the Dallas Mavericks was. There's stories that they were nervous about Luka Doncic not really wanting to be there, concerned that he might not want to sign the Supermax extension this next offseason, a concern about his weight. Ultimately, I'm going to settle on this. The Dallas Mavericks have settled back into the days after Dirk Nowitzki retired, to where they were just at the bottom of the barrel and they are going to be headed into a rebuild mode with their new ownership and their GM. That if you look into the GM, he's done some interesting moves in the past. The Dallas Mavericks have decided that they don't want a marquee player, but they instead believe that there is a system that needs to be built, and it does not come by paying an all-star player $500 million for their services. Now, jumping to the Lakers side, the one thing I have to say as I make this a quick little summary of the weekend is R.I.P. LeBron James. Yes, retire in peace, LeBron James, because ultimately the winners of this trade really are the Lakers. No way around it. No matter how you look at it, the Lakers got the best deal possible for one of the best players in the league right now. And what did they give up? Anthony Davis, which is the .25 version of a big that used to be the marquee player. Anthony Davis used to be supposed to be the heir apparent to the LeBron James era in Los Angeles, and that obviously didn't work out. The Dallas Mavericks think they could do something about it, but short term, Luka Doncic is an all-star player. Luka Doncic sells you tickets to fill your arena at that is something that the Lakers are dying to consistently have. And long term, you have established a young player that is already a proven commodity that can take a team to the finals, which he just did 7 months ago with the Dallas Mavericks. He can take your team to the finals with minimal pieces, and you know you have him for at least 8 to 10 years to come. So, congratulations, Lakers. Congratulations, LeBron. You can finally say that you're going to be able to retire and know that an organization that you're retiring from is actually going to be in good hands. And you can officially hand your crown to the next era of NBA players. Folks, we are jumping in early because it is Super Bowl week and there is a lot for us to talk about, and the excitement is brewing for way too long for us to wait a whole nother day. Wednesday night means it's box scores and bourbon night.
All right,
JB.
Manny. Before we get started and we continue this discussion, and before I debunk everything you just said, let's cheers our way in.
Cheers.
Cheers, my man. Clink, clink.
I will not sit here and get debunked.
All right, first of all, you said one thing right. You said NBA want to get our attention. We all know that NBA is flailing. We all know no one's paying attention. We all know no one's paying attention because it's still barely only February, and no one's still going to be paying attention until about April. And
That's
that's
true.
only because March Madness is just about wrapped up. And they're like, well, there's nothing else on except baseball just started. So, whoop de doo NBA, congratulations, Adam Silver. All your talk about expanding to Europe and then allowing these trades to happen. Uh, yeah, good job. I remember a time when I was a wee little child, when I was a wee little JB,
Long time
and
ago.
a long time ago, yeah. And uh, uh, the pre-New Orleans Pelicans wanted
Yes,
to trade Chris Paul to the Lakers,
I
and they said
know.
no. So he went to the Clippers instead. So it was. I I remember a time when it was really difficult to make these kinds of trades and to just make them over a coffee at Starbucks. Like,
Yes.
and look, I know everyone's giving Nico Harrison, a run for his money. I know you got 9-year-old reporters saying, "Why'd you trade Luca? I think he's my dad." And he's just beside himself. I understand. It's hard to be the man who makes tough decisions, but this move was made for the NBA by the NBA to get people interested in what? The NBA.
True.
Full stop. That's what this was about. Now, if you break down the trade makes absolutely 0 sense. I
Correct.
thought about it. It actually makes more sense for Dallas than it does for the Lakers. So if
Really?
so look, I've done a lot of soul searching since the half hour before Sunday night this past weekend. Okay, I didn't really go soul searching. I did some eat, pray, love, and then I found out, hey, maybe this is good for Dallas. Okay, I channeled my inner Julia Roberts and said, hey, this BLT tastes like love. This trade tastes like a win for Dallas. Um, I
Doesn't taste
think
like that to me.
and it's and so but here it is. So Nico Harrison didn't just stop at trading. I won't even say trading for AD. I'll say trading Luca, trading
Yes.
away
No,
Luca.
he was the intention was not let's find a way to
He
get
didn't
Davis.
do this to acquire AD. He did this to trade away Luca and
Correct.
make it look like, oh, hey, look, hey, it's even Steven.
That's
Well,
not an even trade. That means-
like, let's not forget that Luca's only played what 20 games this season. Isn't Luca still hurt?
no,
Luca.
well, as the moment the trade happened, he was fully participant and active for
Oh,
the
okay.
Lakers.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
if you look at the this half of the season and last season, Anthony Davis, ironically, has been the poster boy for health.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he has stayed
Mm-hmm.
on the court. I think he's missed what 3 games this
Yeah,
season.
2 or 3. Oh,
Yeah, and
well,
so
he hasn't played since he got traded, so technically,
right, yeah, and so he's
yeah,
supposed to play tomorrow. He might
yeah.
play Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
but it's funny that people talking about Nico trading away Luca, but Luca's not even healthy. And then on top of that, if you're the Lakers, this makes 0 sense. LeBron is a ball hog. He is a ball hog, and to get Luca, who's also a ball hog, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Only one person can touch the ball at the same time.
There is
Only
only
one
one ball.
person.
Yeah, there is only one ball. That's
There's
last
only
time I
one.
checked.
And I've been reliably informed that JJ Redick wants to give Bronny all the chances in the world to try to make a second three.
Yeah,
So
go
look,
1 for 10 instead of
yeah.
0 for
So
9.
look, there's a lot going on here, and Dallas they didn't just trade away Luka. I mean, in the highway robbery of the Lakers, which will be it's only highway robbery if Luka stays healthy. That's a big if. And if the Lakers end up giving Luka the max extension.
Well,
So
they made him first off by trading him they made him lose like $150 million, which is crazy to me the way that worked out. But
yeah,
Luke has not been a an embodiment of a player that consistently hurt. Besides this year, he's been pretty consistently on the court. He was not a problem. There, based off of what all the signs that I've been seeing, it almost looks like he pulled to James Harden and got heavier and unhealthy, air quotes on the unhealthy, because he wanted to force some sort of play by the Dallas Mavericks. Now, I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't even seen a whisper about him possibly not wanting to be in Dallas.
yeah,
But at one point, there was a report that apparently he got as heavy as 270 pounds for what it should be a player that's supposed to be running a basketball offense like a point guard.
yeah.
270 pounds for a player like that seems a little heavy. So it almost gives me a hint that he was trying to force some sort of move by the Dallas Mavericks. Now, like I said, I don't know if that's true or not. This is just my interpretation of the way that things have developed. But ultimately, what we have now is not, like I said, is short term. It's a win for the Lakers because they will sell tickets. There's already going to be a demand for tickets because people want to watch Luka because the way that he plays is impressive and he does some miraculous things that only the last player that I can remember doing those type of things is going to be on the court with him. Ever since LeBron James in his prime, the next player that's been able to do that type of stuff on the court is Luka. So short term, they're getting a win when it comes to
Yeah.
attendance. Long term, you know you only have LeBron for 2 years, maybe
Yeah.
3 years. I don't. 2 years is pushing it, but you know you don't have him longer than that. And you
Yeah.
already have Luka Doncic, so you're not even gonna skip a beat when it comes to attendance and your offense, and you can build around Luka. The only
Mhm.
the one thing that makes me kind of curious about what Dallas was doing was the big All-Star three that they had. That being Kyrie Irving,
Mhm.
Klay Thompson, and then Luka. Those ever since Klay Thompson signed with Dallas, it was almost like a it didn't fit well because
Yeah.
Luka runs point, Kyrie runs point, and then
Mhm.
Klay Thompson kind of runs the shooting guard position.
Yeah.
So they had three players for two positions, so it kind of didn't seem like it fit too well. They were doing pretty good, making it work. But
Yeah.
maybe they just thought that they, like I said, maybe they just thought it was more of a systematic thing, and they could just find players to fit into the system instead of building a system around a player. That's the only rationale that I can think about when it comes to why trade away such a great player, a young great player.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and look, it does set up LA for the longer haul. You don't know how much longer LeBron's going to do this. You don't know how much longer LeBron's going to do the same rerun with this is like Grey's Anatomy, except they kill off all the characters except Meredith Grey and bring in new guest stars who just stay on the show for 3 seasons. Like LeBron is Meredith Grey, still hasn't figured out, how to be a consistent winner in LA. So he's just going to bring in new co-stars to kind of flash up on the court.
Yeah.
And his dying legacy is going to be dying on the court, trying to be better than MJ.
Hmm.
But he's not going to. But he's not going to achieve what MJ achieved. It's
No.
not going to happen. But that's still not going to stop him from bringing in all of these pieces that he can. And for LeBron to sit there and say, "I had no idea. I didn't know what was going on." There is nothing in that franchise that does not run through the road of LeBron. Okay? That LeBron road is paved in cobblestone, and too many people have tripped and been run over by the buggies and horses and carriages that have run all over those people. And LeBron said, "I had no idea there was a stumble in the street." Like he knows everything. Okay? He
History
knows
shows that
all.
he probably was in the know, but everything he
He was
said
the
he didn't
first
know.
phone call. He was the first phone call made. They were sitting there at Starbucks, and then Palinka says, "Hey, LJ, I got. How is this for an idea?" "Yeah, man, I've been asking you to do that for a while. We couldn't get Bugs Bunny on the team, so let's get Luca, and then I'll just pretend to be all sad." It's like this is like it is ridiculous for LeBron to sit there, but he's a showman. That's what showmen do. Okay, if there's anything that proves his acting chops more than his flops on the court, it's the fact that he sits there on camera and he just lies to everyone's face. But this sets up LA in a
Yeah.
good way, I think, in the future because you at least have 25. I will be 26, I think, this month. So, and it's not, and Luca's one of the top five scorers in the league today. Like he is,
Hmm.
he is top five. This is not a small get. But where I'm coming from in this, and then where I think we'll wrap up in it here is that there was a lot of ties with Anthony Davis, Nico
Hmm.
Harrison, all the way back when AD was an 18-year-old kid in Chicago, just ruling, the concrete jungle out there, and Nico was an exec at Nike, and they've known each other since AD was in high school.
Hmm.
And AD's always wanted to play with Kyrie. AD's been on record for saying, I've been wanting to play with Kyrie since 2018. I've been wanting to get out of New Orleans as soon as possible.
Hmm.
So, and then Kyrie goes to Brooklyn, and and then we get pieces for AD, and one of the big pieces is a 10 man who can't stay strong enough or together enough to play more than 20 minutes. So there's a lot of history here.
Yeah.
And,
There's
and
also a history with LeBron saying he wants to play with Luca, so it almost makes it seem like it's a match made in
it
heaven
does,
for all
it
parties
does,
involved.
it does. But I wouldn't be surprised. So Dallas is 11 right now. They are just on the outside
Yeah.
of the play-in. There is nothing better. Like watching baseball as a teenager, I remember Theo Epstein trading Nomar Garciaparra to shake up the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
So it's not unfathomable for a team exec to sit there and say, I'm going to make a trade here, and I'm going to shake this up.
Yeah.
I'm going to shake it up. Now, did the NBA allow this trade to happen over, a Cortado? Yeah, because the NBA needs viewership. The NBA needs people to talk about the NBA.
Yep.
But I'm not going to sit here and say that I think it was a terrible trade. They could have got a lot more
Yeah.
for Luka,
Yeah.
a whole
bit.
lot more for
Little
Luka,
bit.
just a tiny bit more. But what they walked away from, what they walked away with, certainly sets them up for the next couple years. I mean, getting Max Christie's not a throw-in. Getting Max Christie allowed them to trade Quentin Grimes to bring in Caleb Martin. So Dallas is setting up the pieces to be able to be a team where Clay and Kyrie and AD can work together.
Hmm.
And now that how long is Lively out for?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't seen the report on how
Is
long.
he out the rest of the season?
No, he was initially when he got hurt. He was supposed to be out for about 2 months, but I
Okay.
don't. I lost track of time as far as when that
Okay.
happened. So
Yeah,
he'll come back this season.
but having Caleb Martin out there, who was a beast for the Heat back in 23, especially in the playoffs. I mean, he was pivotal. I mean, they eventually lose to Boston, but it's like, but he was still a key piece. And Quentin Grimes, they're like, oh well, he's a younger version, but Caleb Martin's a sure thing. You got Max Christie there who can take over for Quentin Grimes. Caleb Martin can be the 3-and-D option that they have out there, and then and honestly think that this is something that could work out for Dallas in the short term.
Only short term.
Yeah.
Caveat. Only short term. There is no long term plan. When it
Davis
comes
is
to what
only under
Dallas
contract
is
for
looking like.
2 more seasons. I think at 28 it's a player option.
Yeah.
So it's up to him if he wants to stay when he's 34.
Yeah.
But
Well, ultimately, and like I said at the beginning, in my lifetime, this is one of the biggest trades that I've seen happen in the NBA. Rightly so or unrightly so, parties will regret their decisions in the future or not. We have Luka Doncic with the Lakers, and we have to see what that looks like when it comes to LeBron and what it looks like for the Dallas Mavericks when it comes to Anthony Davis fitting into that offense, because they do have a system that kind of works for Anthony Davis a little bit when it comes to Lively and now Anthony Davis kind of dominating the paint. But we'll see if it works. But JB, the NBA has taken 20 minutes of our time on this episode, and that is more than enough because we are on Super Bowl week, and we have Super Bowl previews to go over. I told you last weekend or last episode that we were going to have a team for each other, and we were going to fight tooth and nail to argue why our team will win the Super Bowl. This is at
before you begin,
yes.
we need to make it clear. This is not the team we are necessarily rooting for or saying is going to win the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So before flaming arrows and darts get shot at us
yes.
for choosing a team at random,
right.
Okay? This is not where we stand. We are playing devil's advocate for the team that
Correct.
we have been drawn. So go ahead.
We are going to we have not pre-decided this. We are both prepared to argue both sides, and we will argue why our team at randomly assigned will win the Super Bowl. I am hitting the randomize to see who we get. JB, you get the Eagles, and I get the Chiefs. There's
Okay.
no, they can't
Okay.
focus enough, but
Okay.
it is. ChatGPT has decided that you will argue on the on behalf of the Eagles. Oh, we okay?
Yeah. It's just my left calf. It's fine. No, it was a wall decoration I had. Where is it?
We we're having a
I
little
have this.
background issue.
I
Oh,
have
the
this.
TX.
Yeah, the TX that has
Yeah,
favorite corks in it. My
yeah.
elbow bumped into it and it fell off the wall. So
All
yeah.
right. So JB, you have the Eagles. I have the Chiefs. How
Okay.
we're gonna do this? I'm gonna give you about a minute or so to give me your opener on why the Eagles should win. I will proceed to give my Chiefs will win argument, and then we will go back and forth. And I'm sure we will get very heated as we argue this. Now, take 5 seconds, mentally reset your brain. As of right now, you are an Eagles fan and you believe the Eagles can win the Super Bowl. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Take it away.
Okay. The Eagles will win the Super Bowl because of two syllables. Saquon. Saquon Barkley is going to run behind this stout Eagles O line. I don't care about Wharton. I don't care about Chris Jones. I don't care about Karloftis. Okay? I don't care how fancy or Greek he wants to have his name. There's no way that they are going to stop Saquon enough to keep this Eagles engine from rolling. And Kellen Moore, as part of his audition to be the Saints head coach, is going to prove to the rest of the league that yes, you can win a Super Bowl by not putting the game on the shoulders of the quarterback. AJ Brown will be there. He will be available for when Jalen Hurts feels like the tush push might not work. But the Eagles will win this Super Bowl because of Saquon. And on the defensive side of the ball, there is no way on God's green earth that this Eagles defense is going to let Travis Kelce moonwalk all over the field and be wide open the entire time. Okay? I don't care how much bad blood Taylor Swift's going to put on that Eagles D. All right? I don't care. But the Eagles are not going to leave a blank space, baby, for Travis Kelce to run all over them. All right? It's not going to happen. So that is why the Eagles will win the Super Bowl against the Chiefs.
JB, let me tell you why the Chiefs are going to win the Super Bowl. History has shown that a team can match up really well against another team no matter what good of pieces they have. Let me take you back to the time where the Patriots were dominating in the NFL when Tom Brady was part of the Patriots and they went to a towards an undefeated Super Bowl championship. And who got in their way? The Giants. And then they played again a few years later, and the Giants once again got in their way. And people to this day wonder how the heck a Giants team that finished 9-8 in that season matched up to beat the dominant Patriots. Why? Because sometimes a system is more important than players. And let me ask a rhetorical question. If you had to trust one system over another, what system are you going to trust? The Eagles or the Chiefs? The Chiefs, the organization that has made two Super Bowls in the last, this is the third Super Bowl in a row that they've made, or the Eagles, which 6 weeks ago we were arguing about whether Nick Sirianni should be fired and not have that job. The Chiefs has shown that they don't need the pieces in place when it comes to marquee players to be able to work efficiently. And I brought this up last week. The Chiefs have shown every component of what it takes to be a champion, and they have shown that they don't have to rely on a single aspect of their game to win a Super Bowl. A few years ago, they relied on their offense. They had an explosive offense. Even during the Tyreek Hill era, they relied on an explosive offense, and they won a Super Bowl with that type of personality. Flash forward to this year. Their offense has not been an explosive offense. Their offense has done just enough to not lose them the game. I've sat here at the beginning of the year and predicted that Patrick Mahomes was going to win MVP because he was going to fall back in line to be one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. He's still great, but they showed that they don't need to put the ball on the shoulders of Patrick Mahomes. Their defense has carried them to where they are today. And why is that? Because of their coaching, because Andy Reid knows how to build a system that fits with the players and the pieces they have. We know that the Eagles have been building an offense and a defense to match up really well to the marquee of teams. And what marquee of team am I talking about? The Chiefs. They have been building an offense and a defense to match up well when it came down to playing the best team in the NFL, which is the Chiefs. The Chiefs don't have some scrub players on either side of the ball. You were talking about Travis Kelce being the player they want to take away. Travis Kelce has always been on that roster. Travis Kelce finds a way to get open. Mahomes and Kelce are always on the same page. Am I going to sit here and say that Travis Kelce is going to be the reason they win the Super Bowl? No. Why? Because I think because of how much attention the the Eagles are going to give to the Chiefs offense when it comes to Kelce, all their other players are going to be able to make explosive plays. Like I said, their players are no scrubs. They have Xavier Worthy, they have Hopkins, they have their running backs, they have Isaiah Pacheco, and yes, they have Patrick Mahomes, which is not only a great passer of the football, but he also makes magic when it comes to off-script plays, and he knows how to make a play extend, and he will run through your defense to score a touchdown if it's not scrambling to make players open. So that is why the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl in T minus 4 days.
Well, that's not fair because you said we had a minute and you took about, I don't know, four,
Two.
4 minutes. And I know I gave
Convince
you.
me. Convince me, JB. I believe the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl. We have sat here and dissected every aspect of what makes a football team, and I still will sit here and say the deciding factor for any champion, the X factor, will be coaching. And I will always take Andy Reid over Nick Sirianni when it comes to coaching.
Yeah, I'm not sitting here and saying that Andy Reid isn't a better coach than Nick Sirianni. No one would say that ever. But what I'm saying and what Chat GPT assigned me was that the Eagles would win the Super Bowl, and that is why I said it. Now, if now that we're done playing devil's advocate for the Eagles, because Chat GPT said so, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for the Eagles because JB wants to.
Okay.
It, we we sit here and we pretend that the Chiefs are not beatable. Okay, we sit here and act like it's never going to change. It's not. Well, look, a 9-7 Giant team beat an undefeated Patriot team because that team knew who they were. And for all the dysfunction that we have heard from that clubhouse with the Eagles, it has not seemed to affect them on the field. The Eagles seem to be this mature married couple who fight all the time, and yet the marriage is solid. It is thick as a rock. Nick and you know what? They blame the son-in-law, who is Nick Sirianni. Okay, Nick Sirianni's the son-in-law. They pick on him behind closed doors. They make fun of him. He's the reason why we have all the problems. All right, but it doesn't affect them on the field. They know how to be an effective marriage. They know how to be a team, and we can sit here and talk about how the Chiefs are not the globetrotter offense of Chiefs past, and it's true. It's all but we can't sit here and say, oh, maybe they're back. No, they play like that against Buffalo every single time they get into playoffs because Sean McDermott gets in over his head and he has no idea how to coach anymore. Okay, he's like Marty Schottenheimer. He's got the yips in the playoffs. That's it. So we can scratch that, but you forget Like, yeah, we talk about Spags, Steve Spagnuolo all the time. The defensive coordinator for the Eagles is Vic Fangio. The dude is a legend. He's a legend with running these defenses. And the craziest part about the Eagles this year is Saquon has taken so much attention away from this team with just how well he has played and the next level that he has taken Jalen in this offense. We rarely ever, or I rarely ever hear anything about this Eagles defense.
That's true.
I rarely ever hear anything about the development of Jalen Carter in his second year, the health and the consistency of Zach Bond, who was like before this year was just bubble boy, and then the development of the two rookies on the outside, Quinyon and Cooper. Like this, and CD Deuce is he's still a human being on this planet. He still wreaks havoc anywhere he goes. This is not a defense to just sneeze at. It's not at all. And so, yeah, I know the Chiefs have DeAndre. They got Hollywood. They got Taylor Swift's boyfriend. Okay, they got Pacheco. They got Kareem Hunt. Okay, and they have, yes, arguably not arguably, inarguably the best quarterback today in Patrick Mahomes. Okay, but let's not forget that this Eagles team has had to fight tooth and nail all season long against, in their own division, no less, against a guy three times this season, the Eagles had to play Jaden Daniels. It's not as if the Eagles don't have a game plan to stop a mobile quarterback. And anyone sneezing saying, oh, Jaden was a rookie, this was hands down the greatest rookie quarterback season in the history of NFL football. And you will not be able to argue me out of that. And the Eagles had a game plan. And they beat Jaden Daniels. They beat him. They know how to do it. And it's all credit to Vic Fangio and his ability to have guys have run lane discipline, to be able to stay on their assignments, and to not get distracted with all the lights, the glittering lights. You know, it's amazing that the Buffalo Bills get blinded by all the lights. I don't know. I mean, I'm certain New York City was in the same state. They would have to know what bright lights look like. They're freaking blinded by them. Okay, but the city that produced Rocky, okay, the city that produced the man who took down the Russian, okay, will take down Patrick Mahomes. 50-50. I'm not certain yet, but it can happen.
Don't give me fictional characters as why a real sports team is going to win a Super Bowl. Rocky was not based off of a true story. It was a great story, but it is not.
Rocky 4 is not based on a true story, but Rocky the man is. So don't give me that. You don't think Apollo Creed pushed Rocky into beating Drago because Apollo died?
No.
Okay, all right.
No.
That was the greatest push-tush to victory because it drove Rocky.
No,
Rocky,
no,
you're a bum.
not buying
you're a bum,
it.
Rocky, and he had to do it with no one in his corner,
No.
all alone. I'm
not buying it. Don't give me. I am sick and tired, JB. I am sick and tired of Philadelphia latching on to a fictional character and a fictional story on why they have grit and drive to be a champion. Here's my thing about what you're arguing this entire time, which is your two syllables of Saquon. Let me tell you something about the Chiefs' defense. The Chiefs' defense has not allowed a 100-yard rusher since week 1. And that wasn't even a running back. The person that rushed for 100 yards was a quarterback by the name of Lamar Jackson. And Lamar Jackson was a toe from beating the Chiefs, yes, but you don't have Lamar Jackson on the other side. You have Jalen Hurts on the other side as a quarterback. Saquon as a running back does not match up well with what the defense of the Chiefs does to shut down a running game. So don't give me Saquon as the deciding factor for that offense. The deciding factor for that offense is going to be Jalen Hurts. And I'll tell you what, if I have to trust Jalen Hurts to win me a Super Bowl compared to what's on the other side and what the game plan is on the other side, I'm going to not trust Jalen Hurts. I'm going to take the Mahomes driven offense to do what is necessary.
And that's
I
smart to do that. That's smart. I'm not sitting here saying the Eagles are definite. I'm saying if there was ever a game, like we went into last season saying
mm-hmm.
if the Niners stuck with the game plan of riding McCaffrey, okay? If you ride McCaffrey, you will win the game. You know what they would have done if they rode McCaffrey? They would have won the game. Okay? But Kyle Shanahan, he knows better than anyone how to mess it up when it matters most. Okay? He's the reason Dan Quinn got fired in Atlanta. And he's like, nope, Cliff, you're my OC this time, and we're not messing this up. And well, Cliff messed it up because they stopped
They
relying
still
on
lost.
Jaden.
They
But
still lost.
this is why, and I'm not. This is why it's a toss up. Because it's not it's not that I don't have faith in Saquon's ability to run all over people because he's proven that he can, okay? And that he will. It comes down to the mere fact of coaching. If Kellen Moore can just rely on what got them here. Rely on what got you here. I wish I could tell these people, rely on what got you here. I'm Bob Newhart in that skit. Stop it. Stop it. Like, just stop it. Just rely on what got you here. That's all you got to do. And if Kellen Moore and company do that, if they do that, then they very well can win this game. It's not insurmountable to beat the Kansas City Chiefs.
It seems pretty insurmountable because you're arguing the Kellen Moore argument, and Kellen Moore has shown, sure, that he is well versed in creating an explosive offense. Let me remind you, this is Kellen Moore's first time on this stage. Kellen Moore went from a backup quarterback to an offensive coordinator. It's not like he has this history of being a great playmaker or a strategy developer on offense. He doesn't have the history of a coordinator like we have on the Chiefs side. Kellen Moore can very easily break under the pressure of the spotlight.
I understand that. I
That
understand that. And look, this is why I'm saying it is imperative. I'm not saying Kellen Moore is going to do that. I'm saying it's imperative to stick to your assignment because yes, the Chiefs are in here for the third time in a row. Yes, we all hate reruns unless we're at the airport and we'd rather not watch CNN. I understand. And we all know Ross gets Rachel at the end of the show, okay?
hey, spoilers! Spoilers!
We've seen it. You've had 15 years. This, but what makes Kansas City this is probably the best Kansas City team. Out of all the three iterations that they've had in the last two Super Bowls, this is probably the best. Not because that offense is a globetrotter offense, but because this team, defense, offense, special teams, is complete. They do not make mistakes. They
Correct.
don't make mistakes.
Right. Damn right.
And I'm not going to sit there and argue that. But what I will say, for all those out there who are rooting for Philly and for ChatGPT, who selected me as the spokesperson for an Eagles Super Bowl champion, I'm going to say that the best way, the most surefire way the Eagles have at winning the Super Bowl is Saquon being the feature of that offense and Vic Fangio and that defense staying disciplined. If they can do that, they have a shot. Because even if they do that, it's still 50-50. I can't go beyond 50%. There's nothing in me that says, oh, if the Eagles do this, they are the clear favorites. No, that's how good this Chiefs squad is. That's how good they are.
That's right.
They're just that good, and everyone needs to stop moaning about it. They're that good. If you're
Yeah.
tired of watching the same laundry, hoist the Lombardi, then go ahead and get on the phone with your congressman and tell him to fire your head coach because he's terrible. Okay? But I am still going to sit here and say the Chiefs will win the Super Bowl. But I think the Eagles they have such a good shot at winning this.
So let's go through this. Let's go through this by aspects of the game. And we'll start at the most fundamental side, which is the offense. Which offense would you put more trust in? The Eagles offense or the Chiefs offense?
The Chiefs offense.
There you go. Next, defense. Which defense would you trust more? The Chiefs defense or the Eagles defense?
The Eagles.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
The Chiefs defense has shown that they can shut down any strategy that you have.
But
Let me remind you of 2 weeks
they
ago.
also let Josh Allen take over that game.
They did.
But it was Joe Brady's idiotic idea to sit there and say, "Oh, I don't have a capable running back." If Kincaid catches that football, we are having a completely different conversation. Completely different conversation. And I'm not picking the Eagles defense over the Chiefs defense because I think it's this wide chasm. No, it's close. It's really, really close. But I trust that Eagles defense just a little bit more. Only for the mere fact that I have seen this Chiefs defense get, like, Spagnuolo has done, this is his best job he's ever done with this D. He's done an incredible job with this defense. But the Eagles they are so well, they are just so disciplined, and they stick to their assignment so well. They stick to it so well.
You know who sticks to their side? So let's break it down. Let's peel the onion layers a little bit. On the defensive side, we have the front four, the front seven, and the secondary. The front seven, even the front four of the Chiefs has shown that they can completely dominate that area of the game.
So stop. I know where you're going with this, okay? If it's going to come down, okay, if we break it down to the front four, the Chiefs have the clear advantage, okay?
Yeah.
Warren, Jones, Karlaftis.
They do.
They are a great three-headed monster out there. They are Leviathan, okay? They will eat you alive. Let's get into the middle of the field, okay?
Okay. The middle.
The second three, okay? The
Sure.
back half of the front seven. It's a toss-up to me. It's a toss-up, okay? If you get to the secondary, I'm giving it to Philly.
There's my sticking point because I'm looking for a reason to lean on the Chiefs secondary more than the Eagles secondary, but I do have to give you the argument that the Eagles secondary has shown more dominance throughout the whole season. They've shown more stability, they have shown more playmaker ability. They've shown that any big plays are not going to be happening on their watch. At the same time, I am a true believer that a secondary is only as good as the front seven on the defensive side, because a secondary can only match up against the receivers and the route runners for so long based off of what the front seven is doing. And that's why it takes it back to the secondary versus the front seven, because if you're going to choose a front seven or a front four, I'm going to trust that the Chiefs defense on the line is going to give Jalen Hurts way less time than Mahomes is going to have to find their open receivers. So the secondary can only do so much. The front four really dictates how the secondary operates. They rely on how much pressure you're putting on the quarterback. So ultimately, it takes me back to the argument that if your line and if your defensive line and your front seven is that dominant, then your secondary is not going to be a deciding factor, which is the sticking point that I have with that, because as dominant as the secondary has been, they can only do so much. And if you're going to put Patrick Mahomes in a position to where he has time, you're not going to sit here and tell me that he's not going to find the open receiver with the type of weapons that he has on that offense. I understand the Eagles offense has just as many weapons as the Chiefs, but the way that the Chiefs offense is working, it just it's going to be hard for that secondary to make that big of an impact. If they pull off big play abilities, if they pull off deciding factors, if they get some picks, or if they, I, I would be mind blown if somehow Patrick Mahomes throws a pick six. But if they can pull that type of play off in the Super Bowl, sure, I can give the Eagles a chance to win that game. But I am not. If I had to bet everything that I own, I'm not going to bank on Patrick Mahomes making those types of mistakes, which ultimately takes the secondary out of the equation. It comes down to what's happening in the trenches, and when it comes to what's happening in the trenches and what is going to happen with those lines and how those quarterbacks are going to respond to the lines and the pressure, I am going to 100% of the time bank on Patrick Mahomes doing better than Jalen Hurts has done based off of what I have seen historically in the last what 7 seasons from Patrick Mahomes and the last 4 seasons from Jalen Hurts. That is not a very. It's hard for me to find a reason to trust that Jalen Hurts is going to be able to make some magic when it comes to the type of pressure he's going to be having in his face.
This isn't about Jalen Hurts facing the pressure. This is about what's going to happen when Patrick Mahomes gets out of the pocket, which we know he will. That
Mm-hmm.
front four of the Eagles, which is nothing to sneeze at, it's not. But to sit there and to and it, but Mahomes will get out of the pocket. And
Yep.
you know what? I'm going to make a bold statement right here. Okay, I'm going to go bold, Cotton. All right. Here's what I'm going to say. Mahomes is going to roll out of the pocket. He's going to do some. He's going to try to attempt some Mahomes magic, and then Reed Blankenship is going to intercept him and take it to the house.
Dang.
That's what that. I'm making a bold claim that will happen in this game.
That so here's a stat. I don't know if it's completely accurate, but I came across this stat, and I think out of the 12 teams in a Super Bowl that have had a pick six, 11 of them have won the Super Bowl. It's just one of those random little little historical little nuggets that you can find in the Super Bowl era. 11 out of the last 12 teams that have had a pick six have won that game. So if you're saying that's going to happen,
He's gonna channel his inner Tracy Porter, okay, and he is going to intercept the opposite of a Peyton Manning, and he is going to take it to the house.
okay,
That is my bold claim.
that
Right
is
there.
that is a.
It's a specific claim too. That's
Yeah,
specific.
I will. I yeah. You're taking the words out of my mouth because that is so specific that I will be watching for specifically that situation to happen. But we'd even finish our breakdown of the aspects of the game.
Special
Let's
teams.
talk. Let's just talk special teams. Which special teams do you have more trust in?
Kansas City.
There you go.
Harrison
Kansas
Butker.
City. Kansas City.
Harrison Butker has bailed out Patrick Mahomes more than the Nepo kid's dad. Okay? All right? I've never seen Suits, but I assume there's probably some Nepo kids in there and their dad, who's like Dermot Mulroney, comes in and just bails them out of prison. All right? Butker is money. He is money. Nothing against Jake Elliott, but Butker is money.
Well, I'm not even looking at the kicker side. I'm looking at the special teams on the receiving side. Who was the kick returner? Was it Nico Remigio against the Texans when the game kicked off?
Yeah.
That returned the kickoff for 60 yards. Trip of the
Yeah.
foot stopped him from
Yeah.
taking it back. That is the aspect that I am looking at. I have yet to see an Eagles special teams play that is that type of explosive, and the Chiefs have shown that they have that explosive factor in their repertoire. That is the aspect that I'm looking at.
Yeah, given Gainwell is going to be their kick returner for Philly, I don't see Gainwell breaking anything past 30 yards.
Exactly.
That's being generous. I just don't see it happening. So I give the edge to Kansas City, but that doesn't mean that Just because one team has the edge over the other team, it doesn't mean that the Philly can't win this. You can win this if you play your game. If you stick to your assignment, if you stick with what got you here, you can win this game. Kansas City made enough mistakes in that Buffalo game to where Kansas City shouldn't even been here. But Buffalo made more. Buffalo made more mistakes. Buffalo made the mistake, and their mistakes came from getting outside of who they were.
See, the Chiefs made more mistakes in the first half, and if you want to look at it in a bubble, I would agree with you that the Chiefs made more mistakes, but
And that's what
they
Buffalo made
gathered.
the mistakes too. Buffalo made those. They went tit for tat with mistakes in that first half.
They
If
did.
Buffalo plays their game, then we're having a different conversation right now.
True, but they didn't.
They didn't.
The deciding factor is that the
You're
Chiefs
just bringing up my
corrected those
point. You are
mistakes.
proving my point.
No, the
You are proving
point
my
I'm
point.
making
If you
the
stick to
point
your
I'm making
assignment,
is that
you can win.
the
You
adjustments
can win
were
this game.
made and the Chiefs stopped making those mistakes. They had an awful first quarter in the AFC Championship. They corrected those mistakes and they were just about mistake free from the second quarter, especially the second half of
The
that
second
game.
half of the second half of the second quarter. Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, the Chiefs have shown that they know how to correct their mistakes and gather themselves and figure out their game plan and stabilize their offense, their defense, and their special teams. So then that leaves our lovely, great, at heart favorite position, which
Hmm.
is the coaching staff.
Yes.
Which coaching staff would you trust more? I'm
I'm,
good.
I'm
It's
gonna
not an
trust the
argument.
one that's gotten to the promised land the most.
Exactly.
That's a ridiculous question.
Exactly.
This is Andy Reid's second revenge game. Okay? All right? They
Yeah.
blamed him for all of McNabb's faults, drove him out of Philly, and now he's looking at beating Philly for the second time in 3 seasons.
Heck yeah.
And look, no one loves bookends more than me. I like decorative bookends. Okay? But sometimes the right bookend just doesn't pan out, and it breaks. The hinges they get floppy. All right.
Yeah.
Is that what's going to happen to Kansas City? No, it's not. But this game is going. Kansas City is so great. They can make the mistakes. They can make their mistakes
Mm-hmm.
and still recover from it, no problem.
Right.
Teams like Buffalo, teams like Philly, you have to not make mistakes. That's
Correct.
the difference. That's what makes Kansas City so great. They can
And
make
here
mistakes. It's not really going to affect them.
and here's my thing, and I brought this point up last week. If if when we were talking about the Bills game, I said if you're going to rely on the Chiefs to make defense mistakes, not on offense or on defense, if you're going to rely on the Chiefs to make mistakes to win that game, it was not going to work. It did not work for the Bills. I am not going to bank on the Chiefs making mistakes in the biggest of stages when they knew what their goal was since their Super Bowl parade when they said we are going for a three-peat. They are not going to make those mistakes to allow the Eagles to stay in the game. So the Eagles have to have a perfect game. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I trust that the Eagles are going to have a perfect game. Why? Because, again, I'll take it back to Jalen Hurts and that offense. Jalen Hurts has shown signs that he can is vulnerable to missing his mark when it comes to passes, missing his mark when it comes to reads, and missing his mark when it comes to adjusting the offense based off of what he's seeing on the defense. I'm not going to bank on the Chiefs making a mistake, and neither should the Eagles. The Eagles they have their hands full when it comes to what they're going to have in front of them because the Chiefs knew what they were building for and they knew what their goal was. I'm a true believer in manifesting what your intentions are. And the Chiefs have proven that they were going to manifest a Super Bowl appearance to go into the three-peat. And I will be damned if I sit here and say that the reason that they don't win a Super Bowl, the third Super Bowl in a row to clinch the first three-peat in NFL history, is going to be because they messed it up. I am not going to sit here and say that the Chiefs are going to be the reason they lost the game. So that means that the Eagles are going to have to play a perfect game. And even then, if the Eagles play a perfect game, if you put the Chiefs and the ball in the hands of Mahomes to win a game, I'm going to bank on the fact that Mahomes is going to find a way to win the game. So here's my thing: the Eagles have to make this a two possession game going into the fourth quarter, even going into the last half, 5 minutes into the fourth quarter. They have to have a two possession lead into that last 5 minutes of the game to
Two
have a chance.
touchdown lead or a touchdown and the field goal?
Doesn't matter. Two possessions.
Ooh.
Because if it's one possession, if it's a one possession game going into the home stretch of the fourth quarter, I am going to trust Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid to get the job done, no
I
matter
trust
what you put in front of me.
I would trust the Chiefs to still win this game if they were down by 16 with 6 minutes left. I'd still trust them. I would still trust Mahomes to at least tie it. And
Exactly.
then, and I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think we both agree the Chiefs are probably going to win this game. It's probably going to happen. Let's get ready to see Ross and Rachel hook up one last time, right off to the sunset as Joey begins his spinoff. Okay, this is it's. I mean, it's probably gonna happen. Now, but given the Eagles a 50-50 shot, which is the greatest shot I can give them, and that is only because if they stick to their assignment, and I'm sticking to that. Mahomes is going to make a mistake, and I will repeat it. Mahomes will make a mistake in this game, and Reed Blankenship will make him pay for it.
Okay. On that note, shut it down, reset your brain. Let's take the last 5 minutes of our Super Bowl preview
Mm-hmm.
to discuss how we expect this game to go.
I think we just did.
Are you sticking with your Chiefs prediction?
I
Are
am. I'm
you
sticking with the Chiefs.
okay?
I'm sticking with the Chiefs. I'm a man of reason. Okay. All right. I am Marcus Aurelius here. All right. I'm a man of reason. I have dreams, but I'm not afraid to confront reality. All right. I think the Chiefs they are absolutely better suited to win this game. Absolutely better suited.
Yeah. I mean that it's very few. There's in our uh, in our podcast lifetime. There's very few instances where we land on the same page, but we are on the same page this time around. I do. I even with my dislike for the Eagles, trying to put that to the side, I I'm still finding it a hard time to find a way that the Eagles win this game. And last episode, you asked me what probability I give the Eagles of winning this game, and a 40% chance of winning this game seems pretty reasonable. I'm not I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout by any means, but based off of everything we've seen from the Chiefs and every aspect of their game that we have seen them play out, and the Bills game that we had in the AFC Championship being the ultimate deciding factor for me, that when the Chiefs offense has to turn it on and it's going to turn into who's going to score more points. Even at that point, they proved to me that they are able to do that. They proved to me that if it's a low scoring game and their defense has to dictate the pace of the game and their defense has to win the game, they are able to do that. And then they showed me that if their offense needs to step up and win them the game, they are able to do that. So I'm just 40% is to me is generous, but at the same time, I'm having a hard time finding a reason to give them a higher chance than what I'm giving them, and that's not even considering. It blows my mind that the if you're a betting person and you keep up on these stats, the Chiefs are only a point and a half favorite to win the game. That is one of the closest margins I have ever seen in a Super Bowl. The Eagles do match up really well, and as we discussed last week, they have rebuilt specifically their defense to match up player for player to line up and be able to take on a team like the Chiefs. And yet at the same time, everything that I look at tells me the Chiefs are in such a prime position to win this game. So I can't say that I find a reason to lean more towards the Eagles. I have to lean to the Chiefs being able to pull it off and get a three-peat and win the Super Bowl and stamp their legacy and their dynasty of a franchise that has done something that no matter how great of a quarterback and no matter how great of a franchise era you had, no team was able to do it. And I believe that after this weekend, by the time we come back on our episode, we will be talking about the dynasty of the Chiefs having a three-peat under their belt and Patrick Mahomes distancing himself and making it harder to argue that he is not the greatest quarterback in the NFL ever. To overcoming Tom Brady, because once again, every time that Tom Brady had an opportunity to do something great at the level of a three-peat, it came up short. And I don't believe that the Chiefs will come up short after Sunday of the Super Bowl.
Okay. Well, I think we beat that dead horse. So let's move on to the last but not least segment of the pod.
Our
Let's move
favorite.
on to our fix of six. Manny, kick it off.
On Manny's Fix of Six, I have some interesting takes, and I have on my number three, I have the Bengals coach, Zach Taylor, arguing that the Chiefs still should be investigated for throwing their season finale against the Broncos because they wanted to make sure that they didn't have to face the Bengals in the playoffs. For those of you that don't remember, it came down to the Chiefs and the Broncos game because the Bengals did their job and all they needed to do was see the Broncos lose that game for them to make the playoffs. And somehow the Bengals really think that Chiefs were that afraid of them to do anything in their power to avoid playing them in the playoffs. Here's my thing, JB. Let it go. You were in a position where you put your destiny when it comes to the playoffs in the hands of another team. And you're going to sit here and complain that another team didn't do you a favor? A team like the Chiefs that is doing no other team a favor besides their own? Zach Taylor needs to zip and figure out how he's going to build a defense that can actually win him some games to the same key as the Chiefs have figured out how to build a defense that have won them some games. So if the report that the Bengals are complaining that the Chiefs threw a game is true, my answer to the Bengals is let it go, get over it, and figure out how to make your defense better. Because if we were in this same position and you had a good defense, we would be talking about the Bengals being in the AFC Championship and Joe Burrow being in a legitimate conversation for the MVP. But nonetheless, we are here, and the Bengals have a lot of work to do to figure out how to be competitive in the AFC. On Manny's number two fix of six, I have a little comparison for you, JB, and it's coming from the NBA world. I am going to compare the James family and the Curry family. The Curry family, that being Steph, Dell, and Seth, have a total of 42,393 points. Steph scoring 24.5 thousand points, his dad scoring 12.6 points, and his brother scoring 5,000 points. The James family, the LeBron James and the Bronny family, are right behind them with 41,000 points. And let me break it down to you, JB. LeBron James has 41,000 of those points. Bronny has four of those points. Four of those points. This came up at the beginning of our episode when it comes to the Lakers falling in line with what LeBron James wants to do. Whenever we stop fitting an organizational need based off of what a player wants, that is the day an organization has success. We all know that the only reason Bronny was drafted where he was because LeBron James put so much pressure on the Lakers to draft him so that he could play with his son. Well, you've played about half of the season with your son, LeBron James, and your son, he doesn't look like he has what it takes to be in the NBA. He doesn't even look like he has what it takes to play in the G League. So, Lakers fans and the Lakers organization, maybe we should consider, and maybe this is the seed that we need to see planted for us to start realizing that we should not start listening to our players just for their storylines that they want to build, and we should actually start drafting players that make your organization better. And on Manny's number one fix of six, I am going to bring up a controversial topic that we have going on right now. Justin Tucker, the kicker for the Baltimore Ravens, is being investigated for possibly, allegedly, doing some inopportune actions with some masseuse therapists in the last few years. GB, I'm going to give some words of advice to the NFL. Can we just ban every single player that is currently active on your roster from having any type of interaction with your masseuses or any type of massage therapists? It seems like anytime any player has any type of massage, they can't seem to keep their hands off of the dang masseuse therapists. Like I said, allegedly, this is a situation that is happening. And from an organizational standpoint, from the Ravens standpoint, after the Ray Rice controversy that we had a few years ago, the Ravens are in a position where they have to decide, are we going to stand by our player and let this ride out, or are we going to cut ties before we even hear the result of this investigation? But ultimately, can we just sit here and say, don't just don't put yourself as a player in a position to where you have any type of controversy coming to you and your organization. Don't be seeking massages. Go do your own thing. When it comes to contractor stuff, you're a millionaire. Get the right permissions to do whatever you want. I'm not gonna talk about any unspoken things that happen in the background, but Justin Tucker, if you put yourself in the position to where this is an allegation towards you, maybe learn your lesson from Deshaun Watson in the great freaking lawsuit investigation that he had for 3 years and learn your lesson from that. JB, as a somber of a note as I'm giving it up to you, take it away with your fix of six.
Well, as a married man, I can sit here and say this is why I do not get massages outside of my marriage because
That's
they
right.
usually lead to something else. So,
Exactly.
JB's fix of six, number three. Um, uh, Shara Magbegpatov. I'm butchering his name. The Russian MMA fighter, who is blind in one eye, is only allowed to fight in Saudi Arabia. And that's because, well, he's blind. And the Saudis, well, they're not really known for morals or ethics. So they let anything take place there. But Michael Venom Page did him a number this past week. And he decided to attack Bullets, which is his nickname. Bullets blindside so much that it made Michael Zor's screenplay seem redundant. So this is like his blind side was attacked time and time again. But there've been conflicting reports. Is he allowed to still fight? Is he no longer allowed to fight? There's really some discrepancy there. We don't know, but hey, good on him for playing like Steve, the pirate from Dodgeball, except with athleticism. JB's fix of six, number two. Faye Vincent, a former baseball commissioner, died over the course of the last week. He's 86 years old. And let anybody, any young man who wants to grow up to be the commissioner of Major League Baseball, let his career be a cautionary tale. This man was not a commissioner for owners. He wasn't even a commissioner for the players. He was a commissioner for the fans. And that meant everyone hated him. So let's not, let's, if you get hired to do a job, do it well. There's the tale, right? There's the lesson. In JB's Fix of Six, number one, Chip Kelly has left OSU to take the same position with the Las Vegas Raiders.
The Raiders.
Let's not overlook what might be happening here. Last I checked, and my eyes have reliably informed me, the Raiders do not have a quarterback. They may as well have been playing 10 on 11 football the entire season. Okay, George Minshew is not your answer. Okay, Aiden O'Connell, he's great. I appreciate the Drew Brees references and comparisons because they went to Purdue. Okay, whatever.
No.
But Chip Kelly going to Vegas, if I'm not mistaken, he just helped a 3-star recruit quarterback lead the Ohio State Buckeyes to a national championship, and now that quarterback is going in this draft. Don't be surprised if Chip Kelly's going to try to pull some strings and say, hey, TB12, can we please draft Will Howard to be the future quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders? And that is JB's and Manny's Fix of Six.
JB, I will forever and always remember that I threw in the white flag for the Raiders a long time ago for this season, and they happily made me sound right.
You
They
did.
they were a dumpster fire of an organization, and I just love the fact that they have let Tom Brady as a minority owner dictate what's going to happen with that organization because you need some type of change in that organization. And who better
7 times
than
Super Bowl champ leads your organization.
a seven-time Super Bowl champion to lead your organization? That sounds like a pretty damn good deal to me. So if those are the calls he's making, by all means, I will be on a stronger, more solidified boat with the Raiders for the next season. It'll all come down to what they do in the draft, but I am cautiously optimistic as far as what I'm seeing from the Raiders. JB, we're done.
We
We're
are.
out of here.
We're done.
We are done.
Mm.
What have you been drinking? What have you been smoking?
I've been drinking this Wolcott bottled in bond, 100 proof. It is delicious. It is a little bourbon. I got a 3 bourbon set for my birthday
Ooh.
about 3 weeks ago, and so this from good friends of mine, Ray and Megan Asmore. Shout out to them. They got this for me, and I've been smoking this Havana City hot cake. So as those who have been watching live or who will be listening, you will hear me having to relight this several times, which is unfortunate because it is a good stick, but this one was just wound just a little too tight.
Yeah.
Manny, what were you drinking?
I brought back a oldie but goodie as I finish off a bottle of Kirkland Old Fashioned Mix.
Nice.
I loved it. I had to bring it back. I was craving an old fashioned and a pre-mixed old fashioned from Kirkland. It just seems to hit the spot. It was really good. Of course, if you want to know what I'm vaping, I am vaping a blueberry lemonade vape juice. So there's that. But what I was drinking was an old fashioned, which always just seems to just hit the spot a little bit more than a neat or on the rocks straight up whiskey. So I'm happy with my drinking. I hope that you're happy with your drinking. JB, tell people where they will find us in the next few days.
You can find us, the whole pod, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Box Scores and Bourbon. Additional content on TikTok, X, Instagram, at BSB Sports 24. And until next time, stay super thirsty. Cheers, folks.
Cheers, everyone. Happy Super Bowl weekend. We'll see you with the new champion.